Report in the house, guys. Thanks for joining us.
You already know.
Today, we're a little short. We got Jinx, unfortunately, is a little under the weather, so feel better, man. We hope you feel better soon.
Yo, get that honey lemon tea.
That's right.
You know,
lemon.
tell us it's important. Get that honey lemon.
Yeah, and then put your own lemon in, because they don't put no extra lemon.
Hello? Get that immune system up, buddy, and we'll see you like on the next show.
That's right.
Let's
show some love for our man right there.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's me, DJ Primetime, with Coco Leia.
That's right.
Today on the Raw Report, and you know how we do it each and every time. You know what I'm saying?
We got Prince behind the camera as usual.
You already know.
Right there.
You already know. Brizzy doing his thing.
That's right.
Yeah, we're gonna get into one topic that is very serious in our city and amongst the world.
Yes.
And that's violence.
Right.
But before we do that, we're on the Raw Report. You know what I'm saying? And it's a mix show as well, so I'm gonna get into the mix. Yeah, I guess. And then we're gonna take it to the streets. We're gonna take it to the streets.
Literally, guys.
DJ Primetime. Yo, PT, spin that shit. Yo, PT, spin that shit.
Take a piece of America back, but who had it first? Hear the Indian curse. Robbed and stole so many, so much it ain't funny. Now I got them face on money. Politician passing a bill, paid in full. See no rocking in the pocket, how they living. Making sure they locking us up. I got a feeling I'm... When it comes to something we say, what they don't like is a brother like me on the mic. In fact, to the gritty ain't none of us whack. Noriega hat, Noriega hat, Noriega hat, Noriega hat.
Yo, this is raw mix.
You know what I'm saying? It's the raw mix right now. Hey. We get into that street violence, that all around violence, that abuse.
They sing your face, Southern track, getting it good to the woods. So the people give you some of that reacting to the facts that I kick in a stick, in a steer around, point to the joint, put the Buddha down. Don't get to the roots, and giving it up, so turn it loose. Then again, I got a story that's harder than a hardcore course of the Holocaust. I'm talking about the what's going on. I know where from that dumb bitty dumb from the base of the land. The place of the day, it made a lot of whack, did it whack? It fooled the black. Chief probably had a big beef because I'm back now. I drink my teeth. So here's a song to the storm, but the shape of a stick and a smile that went along with that. Get trusted.
Guys, haven't subscribed yet. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Make sure you hit that bell for notifications. Stay up to date. We also are on Twitter, Facebook, and IG. Look us up there. And all of us offer any feedback you have. Send us a DM on topics that you want to cover. And we haven't covered yet. If you any comments, just know that we comments right.
Tell me what the trouble is. I try to listen good and give the best advice that I can give. So, what's up with you this time? Your honey took a dive and now he's playing with your my sister, my sister. Tell me what the trouble is. I try to listen good and give the best advice that I can give. So, what's up with you this time? Your honey took a dive and now he's playing with my sister, my sister. Tell me what the trouble is. I try to listen good and give the best advice that I can give. So, what's up with you this time? Your honey took a dive and now he's playing with your
This is raw mix.
Accepted. The feelings that belong to you must be protected. Hold up, time out, I shout. Get it together, sister. Tell him to be not so just a mister. It's a
Yo, it's wild out here. Everyone's jumping around with guns, you know what I'm saying?
Pack it up, pack it in. Let me begin. I came to win, battle me, that's a sin. I won't ever slack up. I'll get better back up. Try and play the role and get a whole crew like
Yo, this is raw mix.
Now we're gonna go into talk about street violence that's been going on after the mix, and then we're going to go into different areas of violence because, as I'm sure all of you know, there are different forms of violence. So we're going to discuss abuse tonight. It's a topic that's so serious.
Let me begin.
Would love to have your opinion.
That's a sin. I won't ever slack up.
Yeah, hit up that chat. Let us know what situations you guys are going through, you know what I'm saying, with this gun violence. Or just how you feel about it, you know what I'm saying? We gotta talk and find solutions to this situation. No more of this.
I came to get down. So get out your seat and jump around. Jump around. Jump around. Jump around. Jump up and get down.
Telling me what cool, but that just ain't enough. Cause everything I do,
We gotta make love. We can't make no violence, you know what I'm saying? We gotta protect each other, you know what I'm saying?
The best of me.
Even if you don't know each other.
Right.
We're
We're gonna get into that for sure.
Please tell me that you're listening. Please tell me that you're hearing.
You know what I'm saying? We gotta communicate. We gotta talk.
I'm gonna be
Instead of that violence.
even if you give me all your love, even if you give me all your kisses, it will be never. Oh yeah, yeah. Even if you give me all your love, even if you give me all your kisses, it will be never.
These so-called players wouldn't tell you this.
Today.
Look, man, we gotta get married. We gotta make love. We gotta love each other. That's it.
More love.
None of this violence, you know what I'm saying?
Didn't you know I loved you from the start? Yeah. Think about all the years we put in this relationship. Yeah. Who knew we'd make it this far? Then I think about where I'd be if we were to just fall apart. I can't stand the thought of leaving.
Hey, Coco, you like this track?
Is water wet? It's water wet.
It's water wet.
Yo, I love it.
One thing we can't do is this.
Get married. I just wanna get married. Meet me at the altar.
Yeah. We can't poison each other, you know what I'm saying? None of this poison in the streets.
Right, right.
You heard?
You hear me okay,
Baby,
baby?
they are full of facts.
You okay?
Baby, they are full of facts.
Better?
I'm gonna play one more. We're gonna get into these topics, you know what I'm saying?
Alrighty.
That's why I'm looping this. None of this poison.
To the left.
You gotta dance and stuff, you know what I'm saying? We gotta do that cha-cha and all that, you know what I'm saying? We gotta do that happy dance, you know what I'm saying? Enough of the violence, we gotta dance. Everybody in the house, you know what I'm saying? Hey!
Keep us on it, jump on it, jump on it, jump on it.
Hey, Grizz, you're killing me, man. Yo.
Yo, that's how we do it on the Raw Report. We don't just speak raw, we dance raw too.
Yes. Everything is, that was raw.
It was quite raw.
Yo.
That was like quite raw. You saw his eyeballs.
Briz is like, that's my joke. I gotta get out.
Right? He's like, I'm behind the scenes all the time. When I get in front of the camera, I'm gonna do some damage.
I gotta get out here and dance. Dance.
Come on.
My tune, and I gotta get up and dance. Yes. You're in tune to the Raw Report as we are on live on YouTube,
That's right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Episode
Six of this year. Yes.
Right.
That's right.
2020.
That's right.
We roll in, we move in, and thanks to you guys that tune in.
Yep.
And get in the chats, and don't forget to ring that bell and subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Without you guys, there's no show.
That's
you know what
right.
I'm saying? And thanks to the people that tune in each and every time that
right.
we're on the air.
Yep.
Live.
That's right.
And kudos to you guys. You know what I'm saying? And without you guys, we can't make this happen.
That's right.
Right. So that being said, we're gonna move on to what's needed, which is the show. And
right.
The topics that we're gonna discuss is very, very sensitive.
Very, yep.
And it's a conversation that we need to have, because the government can't do anything for us when it comes to violence.
No.
It's our communities, I feel.
Yep.
Right. So if our communities are giving us, no support towards it, it's going to be a problem. But one thing I want to, dive into is street violence.
Yes. That's a huge one. It is an uncomfortable topic, but it's one, needless to say, that needs to be discussed. So.
And I understand some of you guys out there would be like, what you know about street violence? I don't want to know nothing about it. That's firsthand, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like a lot of people shouldn't know enough about it. You know what I'm saying? They should obviously put it into effect, where it's very crucial to have that type of feel to the situation, right?
Yeah.
And street violence is a very, very sensitive thing, because in the GTA we have so much different, parts of the GTA where it has gangs and just youth that don't feel needed. That's one situation as well. And then one thing I want to really attack is COVID came around now, right?
Right.
And I did some research on this, and the crimes went up still compared to last year when there was no COVID.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay. Shoot.
So what do you think is the cause of that increase you feel? And I will tell you what I feel about that increase.
Okay, so first of all, the masks. I feel like with having people wearing masks,
right,
automatically, now people are like, hey, I don't have to put on a ski mask. So I feel like it's easier in a way for people to commit crimes because they naturally have a mask that they are told to wear. And then therefore, I would assume that it's a little tougher to apprehend those suspects because you have to see their face. Now we have facial recognition and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I still think that's at least one contribution as to why it's gone up. Another one I think is obviously, with COVID and people having to be quarantined, even people that might not have been very violent before might be will be violent now because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of stress that's caused from COVID, anxiety,
exactly,
a lot of things. So that just makes the violence number skyrocket, I feel.
So you feel like it's a mask, it's the identity of like people putting their identity away to get away with more crime.
Yeah.
You feel like
it's definitely one.
I could say that would make sense.
Okay.
One thing that a lot of people don't really address, and the government, communities, is the trafficking of guns.
That's a big one.
It's like, how are these 12-year-olds to, let's say, 18? That's where I feel like is a problem. How are they getting the guns? They can't travel by themselves, right? That's a big issue, because I feel like another thing is because of trafficking guns and COVID, that gives a hold to things, right? Where they can't go in and out of the city,
Right.
which it comes down to a point that is too cluttered.
Right. Oh yeah.
It's not enough going on. And then there's debts that need to be paid,
Yep.
which then there's more mess.
Yep.
Because now we can't do nothing. I'm not getting money in. And if you're from the streets, the government's not really helping you.
Nope. That's for
In a
damn sure.
sense, if you've been in jail,
They're probably helping you.
if
In
you've
a
been
bad
in
way.
jail and people make mistakes, I'm not criticizing people. I'm not getting at anybody. But the people that know this themselves, if they've been in jail, they know in their situation is harder than ever because you can't get work,
Mhm.
which means if they're giving this lump sum out,
Yep.
you're not part of the lump sum because you got to have a SIN number that's
Yes.
relevant to your job.
You have to qualify.
You have to qualify.
Yep. It's not
So
just money they give.
with that being said, and you're in the streets and you're doing your thing.
Yep.
Right. And now COVID hits
Mhm.
and you can't move. And that's your source.
Exactly.
So I would think like a lot of people would feel away. Like, yo, this is the worst thing ever. I'm already in the streets trying to
Right.
survive.
Right.
Now I can't even survive at home
Mhm.
because I need to be out in the streets and the streets is closed.
Exactly.
I'm going for my debt. I'm going for my debt.
Yep.
And if you don't have it, yo, life is already hard. I'm gonna take your life. And that's how I feel. It's tragic, but I feel like that's what's happening.
Well, yeah. Well, think about areas in the city that are already struggling
Right.
before COVID happened. Long before COVID happened,
Right.
people are already struggling. So now, if people who weren't struggling very much before are struggling now, then it's like twice as hard, if not 10 hard, for the people who are already struggling.
It's crazy.
Right. So, and I agree with what you're saying. You can't really do too much and go to too many places. So cluster.
What's the
It's cluster
resources?
fuck.
Right. Excuse me. What's the resources then?
Yeah.
Right. I'm a criminal, and shout out to all the people that are trying to change their life.
Right.
Because
That's right.
bell to that. It's tragic that it's kind of too late, and it's never too late. Don't get me wrong. It's never too late, but you got to go through other aspects of
Yep.
getting back your life.
Mhm.
Criminal, your record being erased,
Mhm.
all of that.
Yep. It's a process.
It's a big process, especially if you've been in the system for a while. It's just a ladder. This overlaps itself.
Yep.
The crimes that I feel like that happens, it takes a year just to go to court. If you did another one within that year, it's
Yeah.
backing up.
Yep.
And it's crazy. But another thing is the street violence is going up in 2020.
Yep.
Right? It
Mhm.
went up from maybe like 13% from
That's
last year.
Crazy.
13%.
That's crazy.
And it's tragic. And the police have said that they had like 126 incidents of gunfire throughout the city, and there's 60 causes of injuries from gun violence. 60. So 60
Insane.
people been touched by guns.
Yep.
And it's crazy. Like the government, I feel, I don't know what they're doing. I can't really speculate that because I don't have my facts on that.
Right.
But they did try to put out a combat type of thing. I think they named it combat for last year
Mhm.
to try to slow down the violence. But COVID came.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like with COVID coming now, it's like, see ya. We got to deal with this.
Mhm.
You guys can stop shooting. If you don't, oh well. We got to deal with
much.
COVID. And we're putting the money towards COVID,
Yeah.
not the gun violence.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, man.
Well, the solution that the government seems to have is like gun bans, and they just think that that's gonna just solve it. But I mean, guns are already illegal.
Yo, Ford's like, what is that gonna do?
What is it gonna do?
It's just something to say.
Exactly. It's just you have to say something, so that's what you say, and yet we've gone up 13% this year. So obviously the gun ban doesn't do shit. And the thing is, too, let me just say this. When COVID happened and then BLM started to come out again with their protests and shit, remember all the freaking, it started in the States and then they did it here in Toronto, too. When they knew that protests were going to happen and marches were going to happen, all of a sudden there's some magical bricks that show up on the side of the flipping road. Who the fuck put those there? We all know who put them there.
Magical
cops,
bricks.
Government are responsible for that. I saw videos of cops unloading their pickup trucks to fucking put that shit on the ground. So I feel that a lot of guns that get into the streets aren't just smuggled by criminals. The government has a part to play in that. And if y'all don't think so, then that's your opinion. You know, offer your opinions in the chats. What you think, you know, perpetuates this violence. Any solutions that you guys can provide, please do so in the chat. Because that's the biggest question every single year. What are the solutions? What are they?
I think the biggest solution is community. Sorry.
I agree.
Yeah, the government's supposed to do their job, but parents have children, which you need to tend to your children. If you can't tend to your children, you need to find ways to get them into some activity. It's easier said than done.
Yep.
I'm not saying every parent hasn't, and the ones that are trying that gave up, I get it. You're frustrated. But then there's a cause of so much violence and your child ends up dead.
Yep.
And you can't get that back.
No.
But what you can do is keep going with the efforts to change, because change doesn't come after overnight.
No, it
like
doesn't.
that's a process that everybody tends to like give up on. And I feel like, it is hard. And I can't sit here and say, a lot of people haven't been trying, but you can't stop.
Yeah, that's the key right there. You cannot stop.
You can't stop.
I feel people get discouraged, especially like you were talking about before, when people are trying to change their life.
Right.
And, it might take a year, it might take 2 years. To be honest, if you've been involved in criminal activity for years, like you said, it's not going to change overnight. So you have to know going into you changing or making changes that there's going to be a lot of bumps in the road.
A lot.
And a lot more mountains to climb over before you get where you want to get to. But the thing that matters the most is that you keep trying. And there's going to be people that are, beside you there trying to, naysayers, maybe even other people you used to mess with, that are like, oh, just leave it alone, just come back, with that life. And it's like, no, you have to be able to say, no, I got to cut this off and I got to do what I got to do, no matter how hard it is. I'm going to wake up every day and I'm going to manifest my changes.
Right. And due to what you said, the giving up situation. If we're at home with COVID going on, and married couples are going through things in their house, they can't go outside. So what does that mean? Inside 24/7, which causes friction.
Yeah.
Right.
Time.
I'm saying it's so crazy for all these people to be outside and committing crimes where outside is so vast.
Right.
Right. I'm just taking it in as like, as a thought process where if you're inside a closed space with a bunch of people, frustrations will happen. Like move, you smell, get the hell out of here. Like your face is
You're
ugly.
annoying me. Yep.
Who are you? Like, you know what I mean?
Yep. For sure.
And the causes of employment is another reason. When nobody has anything to do and they're not bringing in any income.
Oh yeah.
That's the worst thing in life.
Yep.
Where you feel like money's not coming in and you can't do what you want to do. So I feel like that's where violence comes in too.
Oh yeah.
Because when you don't have a paycheck, when you can't earn the money that you want to earn to be who you want to be in life, it causes another demon out of people.
Oh yeah.
Like
big time.
It causes friction amongst everybody. So I say to everybody, like you just said, keep the hope alive.
That's right.
But also, you got to look deep down in yourself, because that's the only person that can save you.
Exactly.
I feel like you're the only person that can save yourself.
Yep.
You can have a mother, you can have a father, whatever. But your own thoughts is your own thoughts. Nobody else reading your thoughts when you're not saying anything.
Yeah.
And you know what you're going through, or you know what you're going to do.
Right.
Right. So,
yeah,
a lot of people gotta deal with that psychological part.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's a lot of people that, hopefully help you along the way to encourage you and try to deter you from getting back into the life and go backwards. But at the end of the day, you're the only person that can get yourself out, because at the end of the day, people can try to help you as much as they want, but you have to make that end all decision as to whether you're ready. It's like rehab. It's like going to rehab. Someone could pay for your flight to go to whatever best rehab facility there is.
Right.
They could, make sure your home and everything back
Sponsor
home is taken care of. Yep. But if you're not ready, there's no point. It has to be your decision.
That is it. I feel like that is it.
Literally.
And when we're talking about individuals and all this violence and all this rate is due to every individual themselves.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Influence is a part of that, but you're making your own decisions. You got to work on yourself, people. Anyone that has anything to say in the chats, give us your input. If you're going through anything right now, hit the chat. We can talk. You know what I mean? We're on the Raw Report. We're keeping it raw and we're keeping it honest. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. So I'm looking at the chat right now and I see that Jinx is in there.
Hey.
What's up, man? So, Briz, I don't know. Oh, well, you don't have a mic over there, so.
Yo, Jinx, get better, bro. Get better.
We will get into those chats in a second. But thanks, Jinx.
Jinx.
I know you're going off in there. I know you are, because he's always going off. He always has some wicked ideas and he's going off.
Ding dong.
Again, guys, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. So when it comes to solutions, what do you think is, a good solution?
For the street violence?
For the violence, yeah. Whether it's obviously community is a big one. I feel like no matter what, we shouldn't ever depend on the government to get us out of anything, even though, they are supposed to help.
Right.
But we can't wait on them. So it has to be a community. It has to be a community thing. Community members have to come together and they have to, clean up the community, support each other, within community centers, see if there's any programs that, could be implemented, workshops and stuff that's affordable. And maybe a few of them could even be free, because at the end of the day, there are people who, they can't afford it. And so what are we supposed to tell people? Well, we just can't help you. And I know the government might come back and say, well, things need to be paid for. And right. I totally understand that, but there has to be a medium of some sort.
I agree completely, because like I said before, the community is what the issue, the biggest issue.
Number one.
Because within the communities, they're going through what they're going through each and every day inside the communities while people are looking in.
Right, exactly.
From the outside.
Right.
So, like you said, community head staffs need to come together and implement something that is going to work within the communities.
Yeah, the Boys and Girls together.
The Boys and Girls Club been around for so long.
Very long time.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's your choice to go there. Right? Mm-hmm. So once again, individuals. Right? That is the hardest part, I think, because how do we say, yo, Bob, you need to check in, bro, because you're doing some wild stuff right now.
Yeah.
Like, you fucked up, bro.
Yeah.
You need to go check in.
Yeah.
No, fuck you, bro. You need to go check in. Mm-hmm. And then from that, it's like, what's next?
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. And they even say intervention and checking into asylums and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They will not take you unless you go.
Yep, that's true.
Your sister, your brother, they can't say, "Oh, I want him in." They have to say, "I need help." Okay, I'm going to go, and let me sign this.
Yeah.
Right. So that is the biggest issue, I think. Individuals.
I think too, depending on the place, if a situation is so bad, you could get someone committed. So let's say if the person is suicidal.
Or scarring themselves.
Right. That might be a way that somebody could have their loved one committed. So for instance, Toronto City Housing.
Right.
I have a few family members that work for that company, and a lot of people in Toronto City Housing unfortunately have mental illnesses.
Right.
And a lot of which aren't actually tended to. Right. And so there was a woman, in a nutshell, short story, there was an elderly woman who lived in her apartment, and she said it was due to her religion, but I think it was a mental illness where she didn't even use the washroom. Yeah, she did her washroom duties all over the place, Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
And it was very unsanitary in her place, to the point because she'd wipe everything on the walls and the ground. So unfortunately, they, would replace the walls and the floors, but eventually you're gonna have to do it again. So nothing was happening until her daughter came to visit and got involved, and was told that the mother was asked to go to a session somewhere for her mental illness, and she was like, "No, I'm not going." The mother. The daughter said, "Yes, you are. We'll go together
right now."
And she's like, "That's what we're doing." And that thankfully was able to help that woman. But again, how does that continue? Is the daughter going to be able to be there every single time to take her mother? My thing is too, is it possible this is just, thought process for people.
Right.
But is it possible for that daughter to take her mother in where she's able to watch her a little easier? Who knows what the situation is? Maybe she has a family, children, and she doesn't have the time or whatever. But I'm just going to say right now, our parents took care of us when we were younger. So now that our parents need us, we should be there for them. So I feel like that lady, I mean, what is she even doing in Toronto City Housing? But I don't know their situation, right? But in a nutshell, that's an example of how you could possibly commit somebody or kind of force them, support them, and go with them.
Right. Shout out to my mom. I just got her some Dr. Ho. Pause.
Shout out to Prime Time's mom.
Yeah.
Shout out to all our mamas. Never mind.
Right. And as we talk about mamas and daughters and sons and right, we have another topic, not to shy away from the streets, but
but there's different forms of violence.
Right. And we gotta
many, in fact.
Right. Domestic abuse and not domestic abuse, child abuse.
Yeah, that's a tough one, I gotta say.
Okay. So as we're talking about the streets, I think you guys need to listen to this carefully, because psychological problems come from this.
Yes.
Which in time goes and pours into the street.
That's correct.
Right?
Yep.
So anyone that's been abused, shout out to you. As in, if you're getting help, shout out to you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And continue to get that help, because it takes a while sometimes. No one could get cured in one day.
God, no.
It's a long process. Whatever religion you're in, keep the faith. But yeah, child abuse comes from this. And I'm going to ask you a question.
Shoot.
A raw question.
It's always raw.
Always raw. So, if your son was abused and he didn't tell you, then told you a couple years later, after he's been going through it by himself,
right?
And he tells you the situation, and knock on wood.
Yeah.
He tells you the situation, and your son. Obviously, you felt like he was changing a bit.
Yeah.
And he finally tells you that something happened. And he tells you the person.
Right.
How would you react and why?
I'm fucking them up.
That's
the short answer of it.
Right.
But first of all, the very first thing I'm going to do as a mother is I am going to apologize.
That's key.
I'm going to apologize because I wasn't there. even if there was no way of me being there. I'm going to apologize because there's no child that should ever have to endure something like that, no matter what form of child abuse. And
would you feel like it's your fault as well? Let me put that in.
Well, naturally I will, because I'm a parent, and every parent
should have a sixth sense.
That's how I feel, right? Because I'm so close with my son in particular, so I can, like, he could tell me, oh no, that's not what I was gonna say, or that's not what I'm thinking. Like, damn right it is. Like, we're just so close that I can sense things and I can tell when he's sad or when he's upset. So me, naturally, myself, unfortunately, as a child, I went through abuse. So I would hope that I would be able to tell certain signs.
Right.
But even then, there's people who have gone through abuse, and then with their own children, they're not able to see it all the time. So I would naturally feel bad, because I would do anything to take that pain away from them to put it on myself.
So that,
right?
So your answer would be, you know, anger would be one of the.
That'd be the first.
Basically, anger would be your answer.
Pain and anger would be the immediate.
Right.
I would definitely be calling the police, but there's probably some opinions that I have that I'm not about to say on camera right now, because this is the raw report. But yeah, it's a raw report. But I've always said, if anything happened, knock on wood, I hope to God it never does.
Right.
And one reason, the first reason is because I don't want my son going through that. The second reason is I don't want to be put in a position where I have to make that decision.
That's the key that
I have to just be honest.
Right. And that's a good thing that you're being honest, because
I'm sorry, I'm going to be honest too, because when it comes to this system, the judicial system, it sucks. It absolutely sucks, especially now with pedophilia being normalized. Like, we already, Briz and I actually saw a link the other day, a little girl who was 9, and she was going through a custody battle between her parents. Her father, it was time to bring her back to the mother.
Yeah.
And this little girl was screaming for her dad to help her. Didn't want to come out. The mother was trying to get her out of the car. Then the grandmother, which is the mother's mom, was also trying to get her out of the car. This little girl would not go. She's like, I'm not going. I can't do it. I can't go. And then with the mother there, she didn't want to speak. But when the mother moved away from the car, the grandmother started asking questions. And the little girl told her that her stepfather was abusing her sexually and physically. And the mother would watch. And the mother didn't do anything about it.
Her biological...
Her stepfather.
No, but her biological father was in the car?
Yeah, because it was time for he had visitation, so he was bringing, like, they meet somewhere, I guess, because it was in a parking lot, and the little girl didn't want to go, and she even explained when she was asked what was happening to her, and these were like details, okay, to the point where this little girl's waking up with blood in her underwear, and then imagine how she feels when she's saying her mom knows about this shit, and that's the person that's supposed to protect her ass. And then the grandmother actually initially said, I can guarantee you that no one's touching you. And let me just be like 1,000 with you guys right now. When a child is saying to you that they are being abused, the absolute worst fucking thing that you could ever say to them is that they're lying. Because I can promise you right now, they'll never fucking open their mouth up again. Ever. And they will take that shit to the grave. And they'll just fuck everybody up that comes too close to them because they got PTSD or whatever the hell. That creates a lot of mental illness that people don't know about.
And directly what you said, that is the issue, right? The violence, the sadness, right? The shame, the closing yourself in, right? Which then you develop that growing up to a point that I'm going to explode. And I don't give a shit about nobody.
Exactly. No one gave a shit about me.
Right.
So why the fuck?
So with those incidents happening, and we talking about street violence and also child abuse, which I said is somewhat connection to each other because of that.
Big time.
My grandmother's telling me, I could swear nothing's going on. And the mother's watching, which they know. And for that child to grow up and say, for one, her sexual preferences might change because of that.
Big time.
Then, relationship status might change because she might not trust men.
Mm-hmm.
See, all these things trickle down to a cause. But the biggest thing that I feel that, once again, school's around, right?
Right.
Education needs to put that in place.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Anxiety.
A huge one.
You know,
Depression.
Aggression and all that. There needs to be a class for that. There needs to be a spoken class for that. Guidance teachers guiding, not just doing paperwork.
Right.
Right? Because I remember that word, guidance teacher. You get in trouble, you're not doing well. You go there, oh, you're doing bad in class. We got to ship you to another school.
Yeah, this one is so facts right here.
Like, do you know why I'm doing bad?
Why? Yeah.
I might be abused at home. I can't focus in class.
Yep.
I see other people get picked up by their parents. I'm walking home by myself. Like, there's so many reasons that we don't come to a conclusion for the children.
Yep.
Which is the future. And they can't focus on the future when they're stuck in the past.
Oh, yeah.
So it's crucial.
I feel like, aside from, I always say it starts at home, right?
Yeah.
But then the next one is school. Think about it now. You're there 8 hours. Well, not right now, but
yeah, that's a big one.
You're there 8 hours of the day. Kids are at school more than they're with their parents or guardians or whatever.
It's crazy.
So I remember when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, I was kicked out at 17. So when I was in high school, they didn't know shit. They had no idea what was going on because, my mom was really involved in school and everything, and which was awesome. But they never suspected anything. But yet my behavior, even in elementary school, like I was in fights all the time. And then in high school, I didn't start anything just like in elementary, but I still got into some because other people tried to fucking mess with me.
Right.
And it wasn't about to happen. And then other things like schoolwork being a problem when it wouldn't usually be a problem, but it was because of what I was going through. So instead of the school asking questions, they immediately just thought I was this rebellious teen and I didn't want to do what I was told or whatever, when really it was because of what was going on.
Right.
And only way after the fact, they're like, oh, yeah, no, it's too late now.
Way too late.
It's too friggin' late.
Timing is of the essence with that situation.
It is.
It is because, the moment that you're feeling something and you're in it,
right,
you could be like gone and deeply in it where you can't even focus. You can't move.
Right. And
when you get to that stage, after that stage, that's a reminder each time that something of that sort comes back.
Exactly.
It's a
flashback. It's a trigger.
It's a trigger.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
Jinx has a question in the chat.
Okay. So Jinx said, the last one?
The one before that,
In regards to child abuse, a lot of people from back home whoop their kids when they do something bad. At what point do we consider a whooping child abuse?
And then that's the second part underneath.
Okay. At what point should a teacher call child services if the child says that their parents hit them, etc.? Okay. So first of all,
shout out Jinx.
Shout out to that. Those were damn good questions. So I know first and foremost there have been kids that what was it, a few weeks ago I was talking to somebody and they said, oh, like I don't hit my son because that's seen as abuse. and he was at school one day just talking with his friends and a teacher heard, but he was saying that, oh yeah, my mom hits me or whatever, but apparently like the specifics of what he said wasn't entirely true.
Right.
It wasn't as bad, but the teacher obviously they heard and they reported it. And so she had to deal with that. So she's afraid to even put her hands on her kid. Now, I'm not going to lie. My son, I don't hit him often or whatever, but every now and then he might get a smack. He might get a pinch. But the thing with my son is he always knows
why.
I don't beat his ass. I don't throw him around because that is abuse.
Yeah.
Like throwing your kid all up fucking aside the wall,
Yo.
whipping them with shit. Like, it's not really necessary. And the thing is, I feel like if you, from the get-go, like from when they're a baby till whenever, obviously they're being a baby, they're really young. But once they start to be able to walk and or even crawl or whatever, your discipline has to kind of like, it starts there.
Yeah.
So obviously it'll be milder.
Right.
But for them to know the difference between, mommy's regular lovey tone to mommy's stern ass, you better do what the fuck I just told you to do.
And why? I don't
And
know
why?
you're
My son
talking like
always
that.
knows why. So when my son gives me attitude, I'm like, I don't know what you're doing right now, but you know already what's acceptable and what's not. So for me, yes, he's gotten smacks and pinches here and there. But what hurts him more, he hates timeouts. Yes, he's 10, and every now and then he still gets timeouts. He absolutely hates it because it's 1 minute per age. So 10 minutes, your ass is sitting on the floor doing fuck all.
Yeah.
Everyone hates that. And never mind that, I take a lot of stuff away. All the stuff he loves, yoink, take it away. But they have to know that they can earn it back.
Right.
So communicating with your kids, to answer that question,
is the way.
Is the key. I feel like if they know what's going on and why you did that, like I'll go after and I'll be like, do you know why I smacked you? Do you know why? And I'll tell them I don't like to do that.
Yeah.
But that's what it is.
True. I feel like, me being an African.
I'm Portuguese, I know.
I
get it, bro.
Me being an African, like my days of getting beat was
bad.
It was. You know what I'm saying?
That's so funny.
But like now that I look at it, at this age, 2 parents beat me. Right? I had 2 parents in the house. For those that don't have the mom or the dad or both in the house, I had 2 beatings.
Damn.
Right? So he go first, she go second. So
woo!
At a point though, because the relationships with my parents were different.
Okay.
My dad, it wasn't tight at all. My mom, it was tight.
Like with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as a kid, I just felt like, yo, this guy just hates me. Because there's, like you said, there's communications to why you do stuff.
Right.
And then there's communications to why you're getting the dollar.
Right.
Or you're getting the PlayStation.
Right.
Right? So there's 2 different things.
Exactly.
My mom did that though.
Okay.
My dad didn't have that side. It was just like, come here, bow, bow, bow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, what else do you have for me? Right. And back to that psychological part, even though you say something to your kids without beating them, and you put them on timeout or you do those sort of things, I think in longevity, it helps better.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you, communication, because it gives them a sense of why it's happening. When they grow up, they go into the real world knowing why it was happening.
Exactly.
And then they can stop and prevent themselves as adults from doing certain things.
Exactly.
Because of their childhood. But if you're just beating and they know like, oh, they spilled the milk, come here. Right? And then they grow up like it was just milk.
Right, exactly.
I got my ass kicked because I spilled milk.
Yo, I'm telling you.
Like,
I used to hide shit I broke back in the day because I'm like, yo.
Yeah, like, so in that sense, it kind of like puts into perspective of like, why are you hitting me? I got to that point. Exactly. I swear, I got to that point. I was like, why are you hitting me anymore?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when it's like belts and like leashes and all this other shit.
Yeah, leashes.
Then
Can't find the belt. Get me the leash.
Hey.
Buckle and all, bro.
But yo, that's where there's another area. It's like, why are you picking up stuff now?
Yeah.
Because you can use your hand.
Exactly. Use your bloody hand.
But now you're picking up stuff that makes me feel as a child like it's more to this.
Yeah.
Like, am I even your child? Like,
yeah, exactly.
How much do you hate me? Like,
Yeah.
Then it ricochets into different things.
Yeah.
And that's where I think that child abuse gets to a point where emotionally it gets messed up.
Oh yeah, emotionally and psychologically, the verbal abuse, even if you do beat your kids, I feel like the yelling, the verbal abuse, the psychological abuse, all that is way worse. because the cuts and bruise, not sexual. I didn't say that one. But the beatings, like cuts and bruises and all that eventually disappears. You may have scars, who knows, but those disappear.
But
right? But the psychological aspects of it stay, and they stay all the way into adulthood.
This is my, sorry to cut you.
Okay, go on.
But this is my questions to people in the chat. If you do not beat your children, like some people feel like beatings needed to happen.
Yep.
Right? Because everybody learns differently.
Right.
So for the people that don't beat their kids in the chat, if you don't beat your kids, do you think like they grow up, right? And they pass that point. Did you think for them, do they think if they beat them before, it would have changed their kid into something else due to the fact that they didn't touch them?
Yeah.
And who they are today. Yeah. Right? So that's a scientific, psychological.
It's a good question.
Because
it is.
Nobody likes to get hit. It triggers something in the brain.
Right.
So if you never got hit, your parents never hit you, but you go outside and you get bullied and you get beat up.
That might
You're running home to be like, I got beat up.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like,
yeah.
And then they're comforting you, but they didn't show you that toughness is out there.
Yes.
Where some kids get beat up by their parents and they go out there and smash the bullies. You know what I mean?
Pretty much. Yeah, that's what happens.
It's a crazy world out here.
Well, and I think too that if you are too soft on your kids, like what is going to happen later? Like you said, I think they're going to have more problems. I think having a balance is good. Like for instance, if your kid, especially being a mom, and if you have a son or even a daughter, and they feel brave one day to raise their hand, you're getting whooped. Your ass is getting whooped for that, because you need to show your kids that, number one, your mom especially, if you can't respect your mother, you'll never respect any female. Never mind anybody else. And your father too. If you don't have respect for your parents, that's going to give you issues later on when it comes to any kind of authority of any kind. You're not going to be able to function properly in society. So for me personally, I let my kid know all the time, like, I'm not going to let you cross me like that or do this or that, because when you get out there, nobody gives a shit about you.
Crazy. Like
the world basically doesn't give a shit about your problems. So they don't care what happened to you at home. They don't care what's going on up here. All they know is you disrespected them, or you put your hands on them, or you whatever, and it's fair game for them.
But that makes you think
you have no control over that.
That makes you think once again, what you're doing in the house, is it right or wrong? Because if the world's outside waiting for you,
yes, you have to prepare
what you're doing in the house. If you're beating your kids and they get tough after a while, and they fake cry like, yo, I'm taking these hits now. Like, yo, you can hit me as hard as you want.
Right.
You gave me your best. I'm getting older. I'm taking these now.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Is it a wrong thing for them to go outside and the world's beating them, but they can take it because of home?
Right. And I think the other side of that too, it's important to remember, is that when parents are too physical at home with their kids, when it comes to disciplining, not only
picking up shit.
Yeah. Not only will they maybe be bullied more at school or get into more trouble, they can actually turn into the bullies, because when they're at home, they feel bullied. So when they go out there, they're going to bully other people so they can feel better, because when they go home,
they see the little innocence of other people and take advantage of that.
Exactly. And that's something that's psychological again, without even thinking subconsciously. That's what you are now doing.
That's what I'm saying. It's crazy.
So I wanted to actually just list a few facts, because it's actually pretty disturbing,
right?
Regarding child abuse. So there's an estimation of at least 1 in 7 children in the U.S. has experienced child abuse and or neglect. And neglect is the worst form of child abuse. It's the most common of child abuse. And then what follows is physical abuse, sexual abuse, and the psychological. In 2018, 16% of children who were abused experienced more than one kind of maltreatment. Okay?
Damn.
Now,
mild treatment?
Maltreatment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like mistreated.
Yeah.
The rates of child abuse and neglect are 5 times higher for children and families with low social economic status. compared to children and families with higher socioeconomic status.
And that's what I was talking about before.
Exactly.
Right? You got no money.
Yeah.
Your kid will be your target. That's crazy.
And remember, there's even parents who unfortunately use their children to get money.
Crazy.
They sell their children, and those are kids that every day you wouldn't know. They go to school the next day like they did their job last night, and now they got to go to school like nothing happened. No. And when we were talking about just pause on this for a second. When we're talking about the schools,
right?
Something that is not in any school that I know of. Anyways, obviously I don't know every school in the world, but I haven't heard yet of any school board adding into every school a special, not teacher, but some kind of counselor who is very educated and knowledgeable about child abuse. So like their core job in that school is to be there for the students, to talk about what's going on at home and even evaluating. So not just waiting in your office for people to need you, but also throughout the year, each year, evaluating students. So if the school is like, oh, well, these are the kids that have the worst grades. These are the kids that we have the most trouble with. You know what I'm saying? These are the bullies or whatever, because you should know that.
Yeah.
Schools need to give enough of a shit about that to make changes. And then that way, if that person is already evaluating students, then they can get to that student before that student, because maybe that student will never come to them. Because if you abuse your kids from young enough, Stockholm Syndrome is so real. They will not tattle on you. Yeah. They will not tell on you no matter how much they want to get out of there.
It's crazy.
Because you're still their parents.
It's crazy.
You only get one mom and dad, so you love them no matter what, but then you hate them because of what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're torn between the two.
Exactly. So a few more facts. Children younger than 1 year old are the most vulnerable, obviously, to maltreatment, accounting for almost half of child fatalities from abuse.
Yo.
That's fucking disgusting, man.
But yo, you know what's even worse? When you see movies and they portray a mother sitting on the couch and the baby's like,
yeah.
And it's just, the baby's just sitting there. Like, do you hear me or not? Like, and they can't even defend themselves. But like, that's the worst thing. But it is so like real.
It's so real.
And so raw that it happens every day.
Yep.
The States, we can't just say the States, but you know, a lot of those, because the communities are way more bigger and also congested. You know, like it's crazy that the numbers are like that.
Oh yeah,
it's nuts.
It's insane. It's like I said, it's disturbing. In 2018, 76% of child abuse perpetrators were a parent to their victim. So I don't remember what the exact percentage is. Yeah, I don't remember what the exact percentage is. But schools teach you about the stranger behind the tree, the stranger on the corner. Right. But they don't ever teach you, because I never learned this in school when I was in school. They never teach you that the percentage is higher for people you know. So it's not just a parent. It could be any relative. It could be any community member. It could be a teacher, a principal, anyone that you trust, because that's what predators do, especially the ones who know you. They use that trust and they take advantage of it. Okay.
Yo, you know,
it's disgusting.
Yo, I'm just like,
it's gross, right?
Confounded by this stupidness.
And then you remember that they're trying to normalize pedophilia, which, by the way, that 9-year-old girl, Sophie was her name. They've been going through the courts for like, how long was it? I don't even know. But the battle that the father was having to get sole custody of her and her brothers, because there's some brothers that live there too.
Yeah.
He's trying to gain custody. They've done medical tests, all this stuff for this child to prove to the courts, and yet she's still in her mother's care. What the fuck?
Yo, that brings me back to if you guys didn't watch on Netflix, I don't know if it was Netflix.
Cuties?
The mother that killed her son.
Oh my god.
I think it's on Netflix. I just forget.
Jesus
but
Christ.
The kid was telling the teachers.
Oh no.
Because he would come to school with bruises, right?
Oh my god.
It came to a point where she called child services.
The mother?
The teacher.
The teacher, sorry, yes.
Right. And like you were saying, more. It's like the kids are there more, and teachers should be more on these things.
And I'm gonna get to that question that you asked, Jinx. I didn't forget.
Right.
Go ahead.
So the teachers asked question to the kid, right?
Yep.
Then they took what they heard from the child and gave it to the child abuse services, right?
Right.
They put it to the side. They're like, does he have scars? Blah blah blah, blah blah blah. Like just putting it to the side.
Yeah.
Then he came to school with worse bruises, where the teacher's like feeling away. She's really feeling away. And as you were saying before, and what I brought up before too, the guidance counselors.
Yes.
The programs that the kids can go talk to teachers at the end of school.
Yes.
Right? Because if they're going home and they're being abused, they could talk to somebody before they go home.
Yeah.
That could change a little bit of the situation.
Yeah.
And neglect from teachers and these child services putting things to the side caused that kid to get killed by his stepdad. They came to the house and they said he fell. He's on the middle of the living room, bloody.
Oh my God.
They picked him up. By the time he got to the hospital, he died.
Oh.
And then the step parents, I think it's on Netflix. I'm not sure, but I think it's on Netflix.
Jinx answered it in the chat.
Netflix show is called The Trials of Gabriel Hernandez.
Yes,
Oh my
Jinx.
God.
Shout out to
Thank
Jinx.
you, Jinx.
If y'all didn't know about that, we're talking about child abuse right now. That's one of the stories that hit me hard because Gabriel used to go off and he told the teacher, and everyone, and the teacher herself was so over herself about the situation. The board, the child abuse services,
right?
10 of them, I think it was 10 or 11, got prosecuted for that.
Good. God damn it.
11.
Good.
11.
Good.
Because
11 people failed that child.
Right. Because the teacher talked to individuals every time she called. And okay, we'll look into it. They went to the house. I think they went to the house once out of all the times that she called and reported that he looks like he's been beaten again. I'm calling to talk about Gabriel again. Neglect. One time they go over there, that's it. The next time he's dead.
I think it's important for people to know too.
Shout out to Jinx for that. Still.
Yes, thank you. It's just like domestic abuse, which we'll get into shortly as well.
Right.
People, it's a psychological thing, right? So people think that, why didn't the kid just tell? Let me explain it to you.
He loved his mom very much.
It's not even. It's that
and
is
the protection.
That's a big one because first of all, a mother and a son. That's like that child's first love.
That's huge.
You are teaching that child love for the first time. You're the love of their lives.
The affectionate.
So whatever you teach them, that is going to affect them for the rest of their lives because you are molding them. You are teaching them what love is. And if you don't teach them what love is, they're not going to know what the hell it is. And then they're going to flutter all over the world trying to find it and get damaged even more. So when kids are abused, of course, the first inclination you have is, well, let me run and go tell somebody. But what you have to understand is parents will psychologically abuse you so bad that
you think
you won't dare tell a soul. Doesn't fucking matter because you know that you have to go back to that house and you know that if anyone finds out, you're screwed. You're getting a worse beating, even if you didn't tell. But a teacher found out, they saw and they wanted to inquire and they go and friggin' call the parents like the parents give a shit. Obviously, Gabriel's mother was like, forget this. We need to save ourselves.
Exactly. She was about that.
Yeah.
She was so about her and her hubby that his original dad came on the show too and was ashamed of himself. And he felt like I should have been there for my son, which he wasn't. Right.
Yeah.
But the craziest part of it all is a neglect that someone else had.
Yeah.
Gabriel could have went to a foster home, which he was with his grandmother and his granddad, and he was fine at that point. He was growing his hair.
Like what, when he was being abused?
No.
Or after or before?
So she lost custody of him first.
Oh my God.
He lost custody of him.
The mother?
The mother lost custody.
I'm done.
Went to the grandmother and grandfather. He was okay.
I'm fucking done.
But she went back and fought for him again. For what reason? I don't know.
No. What the question is there is, what the fuck was the judicial system thinking to give him back to the woman that lost custody because she fucked up? In my opinion, everyone can change.
Right.
But in my opinion, you fucked up. You're supposed to be the mother that was supposed to protect him. You can be in his life, but
not so custody.
Sorry, you're not getting custody. You lost that right the day you abused that child, and now your mom's gonna raise him. And you can be there.
And
cool.
you know what? You know what's really sensitive about that situation too?
What?
Is the fact that, those people that deal with this feel like it's too sensitive just for you to say, oh, the grandmother could just have him.
Right.
When she birthed him.
Yeah, I don't care.
It's crazy.
I don't care.
It's very crazy.
It is crazy.
That they put that out there for where, like, okay, he's getting abused though.
Nobody cares. Because you know what? At that point, when people say that, you know who they're thinking about? They're thinking about the mother. They're not thinking about the child. Of course, it's hard. No matter how much that kid is being abused by that mother, that's his only mom. So obviously, he's going to feel ways regardless. But that's your fault for putting him in that situation where he has to be torn away from you and living with someone else. Because even if he loved his grandmother so dearly, it's still not his mom.
Yeah.
But crazy. If you are going to go ahead and abuse your child, you need to know that the second you cross that line, somebody else is going to fucking take your kid.
Yep.
And you don't have a right, in my opinion, to have that kid back. You lost that right. I don't give a shit if you birth 10 kids.
Because you're not a parent at that point.
You're not a parent just because you made a child and birthed them. Because I know of a situation of someone who has, I think she has 6 kids now. Mm-hmm. And she lost 3 of them. 4 actually now. Okay.
Mm-mm.
And
that's crazy.
She birthed them all. And there's 13 years worth of a book on this girl with the courts. And she was involved in heavy drugs, prostitution, stripping, all kinds. Had men in and out of the house. The kids saw so many things. They're so damaged. Okay. But yet they still kept giving the kids back to her until somebody else stepped up and didn't stop fighting and said, no, this is not happening. And then more people got together with them and fought with them. And they all should have been fighting more before that because they were part of the family, but they didn't. This other person had to step up and do that. And now 4 of those kids are having a better life.
I don't get that.
Fuck out of here.
And that being said, it comes to another situation where foster homes, right? Mm-hmm. Not trying to get away from the subject, but you see where they're not protected at home. And like, I'm thinking as a child right now, imagine I left my house because my dad was who he was. And I'm like, I go tell and they take me away from him.
Right.
And I have 6 siblings and 2 parents that live in the same house. And that's all I know.
Yeah.
To a point where now I'm taken away because of a situation.
Right.
That could be the same situation.
Oh, yeah.
And it's crazy enough
so sad
that, even with abuse, sexual abuse and all that, when things are said at first, so many people realize nothing happened the first time until more people talk.
Oh, yeah.
And it's sad that one person can't just come and say, yo, something's happening to me. Can you deal with it?
Yeah.
We need more proof.
Yeah.
What?
Until a kid ends up dead and then...
Yeah, I know there's a lot of people out here that cry wolf. And y'all need to stop that shit.
You really do.
But at the end of the day, you still got to look into it like it's serious. At the first hand of the first sight of situations like that, where especially a child comes and say, I don't want to say nothing, but something's happening in my house that I don't like.
Yep.
And from there, I get that it's sensitive though, because dad might be mentally gone.
Yeah.
And he didn't know.
Yeah.
There's no, personally, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
That's not an excuse for me.
Nope.
That's not an excuse for me.
Not me either.
But there's things out there that make, like you said, that situation come back to that girl.
Yep.
And that situation come back to that father.
Yep. Yep.
Which I can't grasp.
See, that father with that 9-year-old, he was bringing the kid back, but he didn't know what was going on until then. That's what it seemed like anyways, Briz, in the links. that the father that was bringing the Sophie back from visitation, it seemed like he didn't know yet.
Yeah, he seemed pretty clueless.
Yeah, he had no idea, and he was actually fighting for her. Like, he was telling the mother, like, leave her, like, something's wrong, you're hurting her, whatever. But he was taking a stand, and he was actually already fighting for custody. They actually have an IG page for her. There's a crowdfunding and FundMe page for her. Yeah. And my thing is too is that not every
she's okay, like she's alive still, and
she's alive, but they're fighting hard in the States. They're fighting hard, and it's not like there's no reason they should still be fighting.
Another reason is money.
Oh yeah.
Finance.
And that's the thing is too.
Finance.
And I would like to say too, the system when it comes to custody is all the way messed up.
It's all about the money.
Everybody thinks in the system naturally, and I've even talked to people who are social workers and who work for Children's Aid even.
Right.
And naturally, they want to keep the children with their mothers. And right off the bat, it's like, okay, I get it. You want to keep them with the mothers. But if the mother is unfit and she is showing that she's unfit, why in the fuck does she get another chance? One time, bro. One fucking time. Because when that kid is born, you take an oath. The day you get pregnant and you know you're pregnant, your whole life changes. And if you don't want that change, then y'all should have kept your fucking legs closed, period.
But that's the thing, too. It's so crazy that people know what they're doing.
And they don't care.
And then when shit hits the fan, what happened?
And the other thing.
What do you mean what happened? You didn't know?
Right?
Like, you got to take accountability, people. Like, yo.
That's a huge one.
If you're over 19 years old, whatever you're doing, you know you're doing it. Okay? If a girl takes off your condom,
run. Run.
Yeah. Run.
Freaking run, bro.
But yo, you know what you're doing, people.
Well, don't run, but run.
Don't run, but run.
Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, as we keep it moving though, really disturbing. But you know that causes, you know, child abuse causes, like I said,
street violence,
and then it triggers more things like suicide, right?
Mm-hmm.
And domestic abuse is, I feel, one of the reasons why people commit suicide, especially women.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Especially women.
Yes.
I'm talking of all ages. Okay.
Even child abuse, by the way.
Anybody in the chat that's gone through domestic abuse, keep your heads up. I hope you guys are out of it, and I hope you guys are taking your time to get some help, because help is the only way I feel like it's gonna cure things. Talking to somebody, even talking to yourself, knowing that you're a better person. And you know, you got out of your situation and you're blessed to get out of your situation.
Yeah.
You know, don't take that for granted. But domestic abuse has a lot of types when it comes to it, like sexual, physical, spiritual, you know, cyber stalking and all this nonsense.
Yep.
Which is out of this world.
Yeah, I don't even think
you got time for that?
I don't even think people would have thought that the stalking and cyber stalking is part of it, but it totally is. You wouldn't think of that. And even spiritual, like forcing someone into the religion that you already are a part of, just so you could raise mutual children under the religion you want. Meanwhile, that person, and in my opinion, I feel like before you even get involved with somebody, that's a communication thing again. You should be discussing how you want to raise children. If that's even something that you are working towards with that person. Also, stop neglecting yourself in the situation. Oh yeah.
If you don't want something, get out.
Yeah.
If you do, stay and make it work. It's only night and day. You know? Yep. There's only a night and there's only a day.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about that.
The thing with domestic abuse, it's similar to the child abuse, like I was saying earlier, in terms of psychological.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't even know that they're being abused,
right,
in a domestic situation.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't even realize that they are the abuser, because there's a lot of things that fall under domestic abuse, like aside from the physical, like even shaming your partner all the time, blaming them for things all the time, making them feel like they're responsible for everything that's going bad. Oh, that guy looked at you. Why are you dressing like a whore? That kind of stuff is serious psychological abuse.
I feel like that situation right there comes from not communicating.
Big time.
Right? A lot of people might be like, this is how I dress. I'm not sleeping with everybody though, but I like how I dress. My eyes came across other people dressing like that, and it caught my attention. When you get into a relationship with somebody and the domestic abuse gets to that point, there's something wrong with them.
Yeah, it's an insecurity that they have. Has nothing to do with you.
Right. But the thing is, I always said this though.
Okay.
People make you insecure as well as yourself.
Right. Oh yeah, big time.
So it's a give and take when that comes to that situation. But when you're being abusive, that means you're taking it to another level.
Yeah.
And you're continuously putting it out there where you want to harm now.
Uh-huh.
And that's where the problem is with the domestic part of it.
Yeah.
Like, you're always dressing, you're a hoe. Oh, you're always talking to, looking over there. You're a gallus.
Yeah.
Like you don't give a shit about no woman. Blah blah blah. You know. Instead of really talking about the situation, communicating and making it known that I'm not trying to make you insecure.
Right.
But you need to take time for yourself to know that.
Right.
Because if you don't, you'll never understand.
Yep. And I think too, again, that's a wicked point. And I think too, if we go back to child abuse, so if you're somebody that has gone through child abuse, you're more than likely going to tolerate the domestic abuse, but you don't even know that, oh, I'm tolerating this. Plus, you don't know that because it's something you're used to going through.
Right.
So now you're in a intimate relationship with somebody, and
plus the insecurities come into that.
Oh yeah, like you already brought insecurities in.
It's like a pot.
Yes.
And it's gonna just stir up.
And then the person that you're with,
they gotta really
they
watch
have their own insecurities.
Yes.
As the abuser, they have their own insecurities that they're bringing in. So when you put those insecurities together, oh my God,
abuse is
clusterfuck.
It's crazy. It's both ways, like shitting on each other.
And remember too, it's not just women. Men are abused too.
Yes.
There are a lot of men. There's physical abuse, but there's also a lot of psychological, emotional,
especially from
and
fathers.
Verbal.
Fathers talking to their sons a certain way. You ain't gonna amount to nothing, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and then they grow up and then they beat the shit out of every girlfriend they have. And that's the, that's the part, like, mothers and fathers have the same role, but in different ways. Both parents are supposed to raise their children to be the best that they can be in life, to love themselves, to love and support and help others, but also to stand their ground and be confident so they know when someone is disrespecting them or hurting them, they don't have to tolerate it.
Yes.
And then teach them the best ways to show that they're not going to tolerate it. Sometimes, it could get so bad that you got to slap somebody out, but enough times it's just about showing who you are as a person, your standards, and that you're not going to tolerate that. But again, if you're already damaged from years and years of abuse, whether it's from another relationship, maybe you didn't even get abused as a child, but then you meet somebody, and one of the posts that we actually put up on Raw Report was of a girl that, or a woman, sorry, that they showed, the little nutshell storyline of they're so happy, lovey-dovey, he proposes, I don't want to ever be with anyone but you, I love you, this and that, and then slowly but surely he starts smacking her in the face because she just threw popcorn at him, and she's like, ha ha ha, and he's like, what the hell are you doing? Slap. It starts with that.
Yo, my bad.
Then, it starts with that, and then it's like a ripple effect because it just keeps going, and then you see the guy. Eventually, he has a gun in his hand. They have a kid together, too. He's telling her, you're dressing like a whore. That's why all these guys are looking at you. Bro, you should be happy men are looking at your lady. She's not dressing like a whore. You're just insecure because all these guys are looking at her, and you know how much of a piece of shit you are, so you don't want to lose your woman to a better man.
Yo,
Same thing goes with the females, too. I've seen it.
Right.
Same thing.
But this is what I'm talking about when it comes to the domestic abuse situation entangling with the insecurity.
Right.
The way to fix it It's communication.
Yeah.
Babe, you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, exactly.
I might dress like this, but you have nothing to worry about.
But also,
that's all you need.
But also, what about when, because there are some girls that might dress a little more scandalous, right?
Yes.
And their men are like, what the hell? But truth be told, bro, he, in that video with that girl, with that woman, he only did that shit after they were married. So it's like, now I cuffed you, you're mine. So now I'm going to show you what's really up. What if she's not dressing like a hoe? She's just dressing like I am right now. I'm not showing no skin, but he's insecure because he knows he's...
Yeah.
Deal with it. That's the body you liked when you got with me. So what are you doing now?
Right.
You know, and there's females like that too. They're so damn insecure because of whatever they've been through. So instead of communicating their issues, they attack. Now, some relationships, like you said, simple communication can help.
I think that's
then there's people who are just damn abusive, and you need to run for the hills. But again, and what's very frustrating now that COVID is here, you can't just go into a facility and get help. They're fucking hotlines.
Too much.
Now answer me this. If you're driving in the car with your abusive partner, or you're at home with them and your phone rings and it's the helpline calling you back to help you out, like in that same video, and your man comes all of a sudden and takes the phone from you, now your ass is getting whooped again. So how come during COVID, kids aren't being tended to the way they should? Imagine all the kids that go through abuse. Now they're going through it even more because since COVID, they had to be stuck at home. Same thing goes for the domestic abuse too. You're stuck in the home. I wouldn't be surprised if the suicide rate in 2020 or 2019 have skyrocketed, unfortunately, because of that shit. And we'll get into that more too. That just goes back to, it takes a village to raise a kid, but it also takes a village for everybody to live the way we're supposed to live. And a lot of people, they're just so jaded, or they're so bitter, or they're so angry at whatever it is, or they're so selfish. They see a stranger that needs help and they walk right past them. They don't help them with shit. Why? Because you don't know them?
That's the inner,
why don't you help them?
That's the inner problem with people.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's where the domestic abuse starts. Because, like you said, it's individuals that have gone through things that didn't sort it out.
Yeah.
And that's what they go to, because once you just sort out something and you get extra angry about the things that you're already dealing with, it comes out a different way. But before I move on with that, though, for anyone that has gone through domestic abuse or going through, there's a national domestic violence hotline where you guys can call.
I'm going to put it in the... Yeah.
It's going to be in the description, but just in case, I'm gonna say the numbers.
Yes.
1-800-799-7233. 24/7. All right. Or you could go to the website, www.thehotline.org.
Yes.
All right. So for anyone that needs help and still struggling, there you go.
Yes.
It's going to be in the description.
Yes.
And one question I got to ask Coco.
Yeah.
Coco. I said Coke.
I know you did. I know you switched it up real quick. All good.
But where do you think domestic abuse comes from? What's the root, do you feel?
I feel that domestic abuse derives from child abuse.
Yeah?
1,000. I think...
like the child becoming the abuser?
Both. So I think that... So, for example, I have a son. And like I said before, mothers and sons, they have a special bond just like father and daughters have, right? So knowing that I'm the first love he's ever going to experience, if I'm screaming at him 24/7, if I'm putting him down all the time, telling him bad things about himself, shaming him for every little thing, forgetting that he is a kid. It's natural to make mistakes. You want them to make mistakes so you can teach them better. So if you're never teaching them and you're just always ridiculing them and you're hurting them, then what real vision do they, or what real idea of love do they have? They might now become somebody who is just so docile, they'll take shit from any woman, right? Because they're going to think that that's natural. Even though consciously it doesn't feel good, subconsciously they're going to accept that behavior from other women. Now, on the flip side of that, if they have a father who, daughter or son, by the way, if they have a father and that father is neglecting them or just beating the shit out of them all the time, or not really paying attention to their achievements, same thing as the mother, right? That child now, if it's a son or a daughter, they might feel like that's acceptable once again, so they'll tolerate that, or they will become the abuser and do that to other people.
Crazy.
Because there's some people that literally have no behavior. Like, right. I saw a video, Briz and I actually saw it the other day, and another one, and it was a couple that went in to see a bounty hunter who hired a private investigator, and he was also investigating because the guy was having so much issues with his woman. He thought she was cheating on him. She already had in the past. But it's more than that. She was extremely, and when I say extremely, I wanted to go in the camera and deal with her myself. She was extremely
shout out to the bounty hunter, the blonde guy.
Yeah, Joe, as she called him. She was extremely disrespectful. She put hands on him right there. She was like no behavior, putting her feet up on the table. Like, can we go? Can we go? Can we go?
Crazy. Like,
she was very abusive. And then she ended up being the one that was cheating, was doing all of this abusive behavior to him, was mistreating him. Him now, he was on the other chair, docile, and saying, please, can you just do this lie detector for me? Like, you love me, right? So I just want you. And she's there, yelling at him and everything. And you could definitely tell, like, this guy should have ran long time ago, but he has his own issues in which makes him tolerate that.
Shout out to the lie detectors where you don't even.
She failed, by the way.
Look, where you don't even have to take it. Your emotions already telling me what the hell you already lost. He
already knew what it was, so they shouldn't even have had to be in that room. But the fact of the matter is, lights out. The fact of the matter is, that's a good example of how a female can be just as bad.
Right.
Okay. It doesn't matter. It's males and females, and like we discussed, there's even sexual domestic abuse where you are forced into sexual acts that you don't want to be a part of.
And the thing about that is, sex is supposed to be good. It's supposed to feel good.
Yep.
It's supposed to give you less stress, anxiety. It's supposed to cure you.
Yes.
It's like a natural medicine.
That's right. Excuse me.
Then now people are gonna go and like turn it around. Whoever fucking started this first, right? Turn it around and make it a source of evil.
Yeah.
That has spread.
Mm-hmm.
Because you shouldn't be groping and grabbing nobody for a piece of ass.
Yep.
Nobody.
Just because
there's too much people out there that you could connect with. Time will tell. Okay? If you're not patient, go put your just go and fucking go check yourself in already.
Yeah.
Straight. Go check yourself in, because if you have no patience for that, and ladies too, don't get it twisted.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies too.
Yep.
Don't put yourself in a position, right? Not all of you, but some of you. Don't put yourself in a position where you know sexual tension is high and you're still provoking it. Because no man should be able to touch a woman if she says no. That's first hand,
sure.
Right?
Yep.
But I need to stop pressing people that have issues.
Yeah, if you know they have issues, then don't.
If you know they have a temperament.
Yeah.
If you've seen it, like, you're putting yourself in positions. Like, you got to be accountable too. At don't get me wrong, in certain positions though, right? That's how I feel about that. But
the camera up.
But yeah, also, as we move on to all that we have discussed already with domestic child abuse, street violence, the whole nine, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's only one conclusion. Sometimes that is the top of the hill when it comes to these situations that conclude the worst way.
Yep.
And that's suicide.
And it's unfortunate that there are a lot of people that literally don't see a way out. And truth be told, there are a lot of situations where, females, for example, women have left the relationship, and then what had happened is they are followed every time and brought back. So, have you ever seen that movie Enough with Jennifer Lopez?
I think I have. It's been a
So-
while, but I think I know. When she's running away from that guy and her kid.
Yeah, her husband.
That was a
and
big movie
had
still.
Her kid.
And she beat him up at the end or some shit
Oh,
like
she whooped
that.
his ass.
Yeah.
But she had to move cities.
Yeah.
And she even had friends that were trying to help her through that situation.
Because he had money and shit too.
Yeah, and she had no real family.
Yeah, that was so sad still.
That's that's an example of how you sometimes you can run wherever and they still find you. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it's something that you can just get out of, and you should, because when you start seeing the signs and you see that they don't want to help themselves or you got to go. Other times there's people who, they don't see it. Mm-hmm. And it's a psychological thing, because naturally we're like, just get out, just leave. What are you doing? But it's a psychological thing. Some people are so terrified that the only way out is suicide, or if they leave, they're going to die, because they will be found and they will die. Yeah.
And when you don't have nowhere to go and you have a certain place to go, where else would they think you are? Yeah.
And a classic thing, just before we move on to our next part of this segment, there's a lot of women who, and there's some men as well, that have been in abusive relationships. They are leaving, and they make the mistake of going back to the house to get their things and by themselves.
And that's why in that movie she did that too.
She did at first do that, and that's why she had a problem.
Yeah.
But I think her friends were also
outside.
Like the first time she tried to do it, and then the next time the friends were there and they came in.
Yo, and the funny thing is, there's a dude there,
right?
That could beat the next dude's ass.
There were two,
and they're acting like they can't do nothing. Like, that's crazy shit.
Yeah, it is strength in numbers. But the
y'all
thing
need
is,
some protein shit.
Yeah, and the thing is, just if you ever have that feeling like, oh, but I have to go back and get stuff. That stuff, they're just materials. They're just possessions. They can be replaced. It's your life that's on the line. Right? So there have been situations where people have done that and they've died.
Right. And even with sentimental value, who cares?
It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, you're putting your life on the line.
Yeah,
right?
Your life is more important.
So yes, suicide, unfortunately, is the only way out for some people, they feel. Mm-hmm. And believe it or not, nearly 4,000 Canadians die each year by suicide, an average of 10 suicides per day.
We talking about COVID. Look at that. We missing the real. We missing the real. Situations. We talking about COVID. We missing the real situations.
There's a lot of real situations going on, but unfortunately, they all took the back seat to COVID, and to me, it's absolutely ludicrous that that's even happened.
And they also took a back seat to the street violence, as we were talking. They wanted to implement stuff, and then all of a sudden, COVID's here. They're shooting, but who cares? We're dealing with COVID.
See, my thing is, when it comes to that, where was all that money that you're putting into COVID? Where was all that money before COVID? To implement programs in all the communities, to have events that bring different communities together. Because also remember, there's a lot of communities that don't get along with the other. So bringing communities together to really have that bond again for people to do things, that's necessary. But the government rather put money into fucking COVID.
And you know what's even crazier? Suicide is like the second leading cause of death amongst the youth.
That's insane.
So then,
absolutely.
So then they're shooting each other. But if they're not shooting each other, they're dealing with their own anxieties and their own problems, which they take their life anyways.
Yep.
Like, yo, it's so hard to really figure this out, man. Honestly, to be real honest, there's people that want to help, and there's people that generally want to help and put things in place.
Yeah.
But there's also people that don't want to help because they feel like, look, I'm dealing with myself. I have my own family. I have my own struggles.
Yep.
Which causes what's happening to happen.
Yep.
It's too much this side and that side where they don't come together in the middle.
Yeah.
right? The people that don't want to help, at the end of the day, you still could help.
You could
in
do
many
a lot.
ways.
You could do a lot. You could definitely help in a lot of ways. Sometimes people just need a listening ear. Sometimes people just need that one person that they can call when things are getting bad. You know what I mean?
Especially adults that went through their childhood and you became an adult. You're still alive.
Right.
How come they can't get the chance?
Yep.
It's crazy.
Now think about this. Think about growing up in an environment where there's child abuse. And then going through that so much and being ignored and neglected, like Gabriel there.
Mm-hmm.
And then through the school system, further neglect. And truth be told, too, when you are abused, raped, whatever it is, you are more than likely to go through it again because it's a psychological issue that you go through where you don't even see certain signs that you actually should have been able to see otherwise. So imagine going through that child abuse, going through all that neglect year after year from the school system, from family even that might even know what's going on, but they do nothing about it. And then you get involved with street violence and gangs and all this because the streets took you in. You know what I'm saying? So to speak.
To show you can make money and die.
And then you think, you know, it's a fucking brotherhood, which it's not. They don't give a shit about you. And then you get in a relationship that's abusive as well. And then all through your life, it's just been chaos. And you don't want to deal with it anymore. Because because you have a criminal background and you have a mental illness and whatever, you can't get a proper job, so you can't provide for yourself properly. There's no fucking programs or workshops to fucking help you facilitate your life back to normal. People don't care. Nobody's helping you. What do you have to live for?
It's crazy enough that COVID's around, and before COVID, there was no programs. And with COVID, it's less programs. So then where do we go?
And there are people who are trying to help with this issue of violence, like zero gun violence.
Shout out to
One
them.
by One movement. Evelyn at CZV Communities, Zero Gun Violence in Communities. There's a lot of organizations that are, you know, they're even on the news talking about it, and they're trying really hard. But it's really hard when you don't have all the support that you really need to have. And a lot of people in the communities are scared too. They don't want to help, but something has to give. Something has to change because these numbers are going to keep going up. I wouldn't be surprised if, like we said, COVID has contributed a lot. So I wouldn't be surprised if in 2019 and this year as well, that the numbers have gone up big time. Because of COVID and everything else people are dealing with already.
Scary.
Like suicides are one of the leading causes of premature death in Canada, and you're more likely to die of suicide than a homicide. 7 times more likely, in fact.
So that means we're not taking care of our mental issues
No.
with each other, not alone, because yes, you have to have a part in it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to find the inner strength sometimes. But us humans weren't born alone. We had a mother.
Yep.
And if we didn't have a father, we still had a mother.
Yep.
If that mother wasn't there, we still had foster care. People have always been around in each other's lives. So that being said, we need to come together, find certain people that really want to help, or is engaged in these situations, because those are the people that really can make a change. I understand people that don't want to, I don't understand the people that don't want to help in situations. I don't get you guys. Because you guys know you're already dealing with your own stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody else attends to you. Like for a fact, somebody else attends to you. You're not in a hole and you're just like, fuck people.
Yep.
You still got to talk to your mother.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't have a mother, somebody else is there attending to your psychological needs.
Yeah.
That's for me, that's just it.
Yeah. I think too that again, just like the street violence, just like the child abuse. So for example, single parent homes, whether it's a mother or a father, because there's single fathers as well, right?
Right.
Again, with the programs. So especially when you have single parent homes, they need assistance. because maybe they can't afford to put their kids in basketball or soccer or whatever? Are there programs within the community centers that you can go, and that's a hub for the community where they can really learn how to function in society? Like even simple skills, when you have things going on at home and there's a single parent, sometimes they don't have the time to, they should make the time, but sometimes they don't have the time to be at home as much as they should or want to because they have to work 2 jobs to support their kids. So then what happens there? Is there some kind of place that the kids can go to, or is there some kind of service that can be available to help those kids? But then again, if you have, like, I would never in my life ever go on Craigslist or anywhere else for a babysitter for my kid. It's just never going to fucking happen.
That's crazy.
I only use a few select people to watch my son, and even that, you have to be careful.
And the biggest thing is letting him know he could say whatever he wants to you.
Oh yeah, and
he will not get in trouble.
Exactly.
Like, you could say anything. He touched me in my private.
Yes.
You could talk to me about that. You won't get in trouble.
Exactly.
And that's, I think
that's extremely important.
I feel like a lot of parents got to do that. You know, if you're a parent that already knows about these situations, because if you're 25 and up, you know there's situations out here like this.
Hell yeah.
You need to, I don't care if your kid is 6. You need to tell them about certain things.
And before that.
Because that's going to grasp them. It's going to grasp, know that I'm going to say right away. Instead of them finding out and not knowing what to do. You know, communication is key. You got to, look, if anyone touch you here, let me know. You won't get in trouble. Like certain things like that.
And when that happens, if it does, God forbid, say no. Be loud. Be very loud and be very
because in a situation like you're saying, somebody else is obviously there. If it's a one-on-one, I understand the troubles out of that. But then you got to come out and right away.
Yeah.
Right away.
Yep. And asking your kids too, like for example, when they go to school, right? So before the schools closed in March, I've always every day asked my kid like a million questions. He knows that he's going to tell me from the beginning of his day to the end what happened. And then I'm going to ask him, it's not like, oh, I had math and then I had science. I'm going to ask you, what did you do in math? What did you do in science? I'm going to ask him if he had any issues with his teacher that day. I'm going to ask him if he got in trouble at all, if there was any issues that he had with any kids, because I know there was some bullying going on before, right?
Yeah.
So I ask him all of that. I ask him if he had any issues with teachers, if they talked to him a certain way, or if anyone touched him. Like, I've asked him stuff like that. And even when I have seen him kind of like fly off the handle a little bit extra, I have talks with him. And I ask him, like, how do you feel? And that is something I always discuss with my kid. How are you feeling? You know, like, to see what's going on in his mind, because your kids aren't going to tell you everything because they don't even remember everything.
Yeah, and they won't. Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes until you probe them, until you ask them a question, they won't even think of it, right? Like sometimes, you know, the whole day has gone by and he can't remember everything. And then I'll ask him, some people like, oh yeah, this
it's like a light bulb, like, oh, ding, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. For
so I always, and whenever he comes back from sleepovers, whether it's with family, it doesn't matter. Same questions, because family can do things to children even more than anybody, right?
And it's not you being paranoid. It's you taking action every day, because every day is a different day.
Exactly. And you don't know what someone else is going through.
Yes, that's the most important thing.
Right?
Every time you wake up, there's a different day, different situations.
Yep.
But you know what I'm looking forward to?
What?
The fact that when COVID's over, and please God, let it be over soon. But after COVID's over, these situations with psychological situations, the abuse and all that, it needs to be put in place way higher than before.
Like as a priority?
Yes.
Yes, big time.
Like a law or something.
Yeah.
Because mentally, I remember T-Rex. You guys know T-Rex? From Much Music?
Oh, T-Rex. Much Music.
Shout out to T-Rex. I remember he went online and poured himself out. Poured his soul out about him being, his anxiety just killing him. No one never knew. You know what I'm saying? And I remember my boy used to date the girl that he dated. I don't know if he's still dating her. But everything was nice. Everything was cool. And, he's on CCTV and like that group of people was like high end. They're like celebrities type of thing.
Right.
But no one knew he was going through that situation. And the man was bawling. No offense to him.
Yeah, no,
and I'm glad that he did it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because like I'm saying, this
People
needs
need
to be
that.
This needs to be put in place.
It's not. It's a touchy subject.
Right.
Right.
But
People don't want to talk about it.
But we're gonna have Briz come through.
That's right.
Yeah.
We got an extra spot tonight, baby.
We need a producer here, man.
All right, what up?
Mm-hmm.
We doing with.
We're going to continue with some suicide facts. They're very, like I said, these are disturbing as well.
All right, yeah, let me get on this. All right, so I know you had said earlier nearly 4,000 Canadians die each year by suicide.
Yep.
You know what I mean? More than 1,000 people in Ontario die by suicide each year. On average, 3 people in Ontario die by suicide every day.
That's insane.
Every day.
So, like we're talking about, imagine people in the house not feeling like nobody's there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Especially with COVID. And then it's like, yo, I'm done with this. I had enough. That's crazy, yo.
But even outside of COVID, even before.
Yeah, exactly.
And whenever, if there is a post-COVID, like
yep.
these issues got to be dealt with, man. This
is, because of the separation too, right? And people have separation anxiety. So then that would create more, problems of that situation happening with suicide.
Exactly. Yep. So this is in 2002. 3.5 of the people in Ontario report thoughts of suicide in the past 12 months.
Wow. Yo,
there's what, 300 million people? No, sorry, 30 million people. About 30 million people in Canada. Mm-hmm. About. So, damn, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of people.
Your numbers are just fluctuating with these situations, yo. That's why I said, like, we need to nit it in the butt. You know what I'm saying?
Watch this now.
Okay, this one's gonna kind of blow your mind. In 1998, we're going back a bit. Suicide was the leading cause of death for men between the age of 25 and 29, and 40 and 44. For women, it was the leading cause of death for ages 30 to 34. That's like in your age, like now.
That's crazy.
Why do you think those numbers are the way they are, though?
You want to go first, Briz? You have a clue?
Nah, ladies first.
No, I asked the question.
Oh, so
yeah.
I'm the producer.
True.
Go for it.
Why do I think? I feel like maybe it's.
Well, for the men first, why do you think it's those ages? 25 to 29 and then 40 to 44.
I mean, you're coming in, like, if you look at 25 to 29, like, you're coming to adulthood where probably you're trying to deal with a lot of issues in terms of, like, growth, trying to find start a family. There's pressures of your career. If you do have a family, having to deal with that, right?
Right.
And if you're that, there's a lot of pressures coming from all different angles, right?
Yep.
And we're talking about in 1998.
Yep.
That's like internet, pre-internet. Now, if you put that into effect,
right,
with all the pressures coming on that level, like of social media,
I agree.
Just the anxiety levels just increasing, like.
Right, I agree, because if you're looking at yourself, I think even at the 30s in the men, even though it wasn't 30,
almost pretty much 30,
right?
Almost,
so I'm saying like 25 to 35, like not so much 25, but I say a little higher, maybe like 28 to 35.
Yeah,
where I ain't married, I ain't got no kids,
right?
I got a shitty job, I ain't got a car, I ain't got shit. So I would feel for those people that feel like, yo, man, like, yo, I had enough, yo. This, yo, where am I going in life?
Yeah.
Once I get old, it's over. 40 now seems like it's old. You know what I mean?
But
How the world's going.
But you see, a lot of people they forget that things happen at different times. So that's why it's always good not to really pay attention to other people's lives, but to focus on your own, because everybody has their own journey. Right? What you went through in your childhood could be different from mine. What you went through in your adolescence could be different from mine. What you went through in your early adulthood could be different from mine.
And you gotta definitely know what you want, man.
Yeah.
Like if it came back to your mind a couple times and you dismissed it and it comes back, that's probably what you want. Like, just go for it at this point, you know?
Not the suicide.
Not suicide.
We're not talking about that.
No.
We're talking about follow your dreams.
Follow your dreams. Yeah. Stay positive.
Okay.
Stay positive.
Yeah.
Right? And if you are confused about doing something because you think you're not good enough to do it, just do it. You know what I mean?
Go for it, man.
Get some happiness out of it. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll do a couple more.
All right.
Okay, so this messed me up, and this is from 1996. So you got to take in inflation. You got to take in the fact of of like just the dollar not having as much value. So it means that whatever. Like, we're not getting to that, but anyway, average cost per suicide. This is in New Brunswick. The average cost per suicide is $849,878 per suicide. That's in New Brunswick.
So they're saying that much money is going towards burying people, caskets, and all that. Is that what they're saying?
It could
or
be
getting rid of them. Like, what is it?
It could be. It could be.
That's
anything,
a large.
Right?
That's a large number.
If it starts from the thoughts, right, and maybe they're going to seek help, and maybe they're feeling like the help isn't doing enough for them, right? I don't know. It's hard to gauge, right?
Maybe
it could be on an average.
Exactly.
Right?
Like from the time they're alive to the time they're dead.
Yeah.
Because the cause of medicine, cause of therapy.
Yep.
Right. Trickle down to their family, communication, traveling. But that's a lot of fucking money.
It is.
For someone that's dead now instead of cured.
But that's
the money. You see that? The money is not it didn't cure them.
No, It didn't.
They're dead.
Yep.
So it all starts with the mental, right?
Right. Then that cost is what does that cost then? What is the sense of the cost?
You can't put a price on your life. There's no figure that is worth your life.
No.
Like, period. You can have all the money in the world and be the most miserable person ever. You know what I mean? It's not going to, like, when they say money can't buy happiness, it can buy things that'll make you happy, but in the end of the day, it's not going to make you happy.
You gotta
right? And you have to look from within.
Yes.
The happiness definitely comes from within.
Right.
As corny and whatever as you may think it is, it's the truth though.
It is
because if you're not happy inside, nothing on the outside, no, not even a spouse, not children, not money, cars, fame, whatever. None of that's going to make you feel happy if you don't have the happiness from within. You know
at
what
all.
I mean?
At all. Is exactly what you're saying, because money ain't nothing to compared to the fact that, you know, when you give it and you're like, yo, I helped someone today. Like, you know, you're the go-to person. That makes you more happier.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right. Even if you're struggling with your money, as long as you, like, you know, you might be struggling, but then you help someone, that just equals.
Now there's more people chiming in here, and we really appreciate the feedback. So you guys let us know, even if it's after the show, hit us up in the comments and let us know your thoughts on my coffee. Thank you. Your thoughts on the topics that we've discussed today. So violence was the main topic, but we discussed child abuse, we discussed street violence, we discussed domestic, and then we discussed suicide. They all work hand in hand, unfortunately. And that's why, again, I'm going to say it again, it always starts in the home, the education system, and then just community. Those are the big pillars in which we need to focus on to help each other. All right, thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate it, as always. Raw Report, remember, we're live every other Wednesday at 9 p.m. right here. Check us out also on Facebook, Twitter, and IG. Hit us up in the DMs. Let us know what topics you guys want to hear. Don't forget the Raw Report merch. Hit us up on our email, rawreportlive@gmail.com, so you can get your own merch as well. Right now we got Prime Time. Let's take it away.
Yeah.
We got Briz behind the camera and Coco Leia.
Stay strong, everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to Jinx as well. Not here with us, but he will be back next time, guys.
I still see
Love,
shadows
positive
in my
vibes.
room. Can't take back the love that
Till
I
next
gave
time,
you.
guys.
It's to the point where I love and I hate you. And I cannot change you, so I must replace you. Easier said than done. I thought you were the
This is going to everybody that's struggling out there. You know what I'm saying?
one. You found another one, but I am the better one. I won't let you forget me. I still see your shadows in my room. Can't take the love that I gave you. It's to the point where I love and I hate you, and I cannot change you, so I must replace you. Easier said than done. I thought you were the one listening to my heart instead of my head. You found another one, but I am the better
Yo,
one.
PT, spin that shit.
You left me falling and landing inside my grave. I know that you want me dead. I take prescriptions to make me feel okay. I know it's all in my
It's raw. Step off the porch, rag hanging west side. That's what we banging. Crucifix swinging up my t-shirt, twisting my fingers and Impala off white. Ski mask all black. Adidas tracksuit, drawstring choking the Mac. Got a couple bullets in it. Gangsta sliding the rent it. Jumping out the window, fuck the world and everything in it. I'm a west side nigga. Ego tripping and walking fast, listening, so we talking in close to keep them off us. Straight go, told it, 36 shots down. Julio got me loaded. Don't think I'm not gon' mob on niggas. Mob figures, mob tricks. Don't get your punk cats killed on Instagram live, nigga. Mob niggas, ride niggas, better be alive. Let the bullets live inside niggas. Ain't nowhere to hide. It's survival of the fittest. Boy, you fucking with the realest. Glock 9, blue steel, host the rap the chin chip. West side.
Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell.
West side, west side, west side, west side, west side, west side. Ain't no west on my chest, just the west on my back. Born in trenches with the crack, swallow dope, shit the sack. Hit the front, nick 'em back. Hit the front, you bring it back. Turn a bird to a Benz, park a Benz by the trap. Let 'em break, we gon' flood. If you snitching, you can touch. Tell my mama I'm on the run, not giving the fuck. Who on what? I put a team together, smash out. Set you up, send the bucks, in the bucks, in the bucks.
Frail shit. When my coat come in, they gotta use the scale that they weigh the whales with.
Parsons on the G. Gotti made the prototype. Hope you get the picture, but you just can't fold it like
Turning niggas make it, kicking down the door and we burning niggas naked.
the house costs $1 million. I'm sitting on the beach, and the only thing I know if it's furnished, I'ma take it.
My bathtub is up, my walls do a 360. We got the shit that the government got. Talking money, then you rubbing the spot.
Real niggas say that they be wild. And we on the Cayman Islands, on the yacht with our favorite albums.
A bad hole in a plate of salmon, smoking and drinking. Nigga, is you thinking that I fade is valid?
I love my nigga for the fact that he real. Ain't nobody on the South Square.
What? And if you facing capital pun, pass me a gun. Never give him time to run while rapidly pill.
What's going on now? Can I talk to y'all for a minute?
Yo,
Let me talk for a minute. Just give me a minute of your time, baby. Let me talk to this motherfucker. Guess who's Bizak? Still smell the crack in my clothes. Don't make me have to relapse on these hoes. Take it back out, been taxing the road. When I was hugging it, niggas couldn't do nothing with it. Straight from the oven. I emerged from it all without a stain on my shirt. You could blame my old earth for the shit she instilled in me. Still with me, pain plus work. Shit, she made me
yo,
milk
PT,
the
spin that shit.
These niggas can't fuck with me. I'm calling guts every time, drag my nuts every time, homie. We make a great combination, though, it. Me in the face, mom. Every time we face off,
Never been a hater. I just stick to my paper like a stamp. Yellow bone, smoking purple LA Lakers. And she give me pussy on the wake up. Double cup of carrot juice. Oh, that's my savage juice. I just caught the auto. Oh, in a paddock too. Dripping in that iceberg. Oh, in that capital. Hey, bro, don't you cup that hoe? Cause I done had it too. They said that they pack it. Oh, we pack it too. Run up like was popping and was bracking too. Said I would get rich, they made it happen too. Take a picture with your bitch and tag it too. Savage mode. Racket and roll.
Hey, just a reminder, Cardi B is free.
For divorce.
That's that big drip, big wrist, big body, big whips, big glocks, big guap, big knots, big booms, small problems, big moves.
Speaking of Cardi,
sauce it up. All this drip, I can fuck around and wash them up, wash them up.
I done came up on the bag, bitch.
she did though.
Up on the bag, bitch. I done came up on the bag, bitch. I know you mad cause I came up on the bag, bitch. Bust it, bust it, bust it, bust it, bust it. Bust it, bust it, bust it. I done came up on the bag, bitch. I know you mad cause I came up on the bag, bitch.
I need the chicken, I need the bread, that's all
There she is.
in the Benz, cause you in the bed, bitch, you
Free as a
bird. What is you doing? Then they be mad. Looking at me, like a distant boom. Make a count, no back. Let's get a no drip drop. Put this pussy on wax. Took it straight to the tip top. I'm at race with the rave. In the space to save. Next face in my leg.
I'd rather be a B-I-T-C-H, cause that's what you gon' call me when I'm trippin' anyway. You know you can't control me, baby. You need a real one in your life. The bitches ain't gon' give it to you, right? I'd rather be a B-I-T-C-H, cause that's what you gon' call me when I'm trippin' anyway. You know you can't control me, baby. You need a real one in your life. The bitches ain't gon' give it to you, right?
If I hit it one time, I'm a piper. If I hit it two times, then I'm lifer. If I fuck three times, I'm a wiper. It ain't safe, it ain't safe, it ain't safe, it ain't safe, it ain't safe. Tell your man pipe up, nigga pipe up. Hey, bands from the safe in your face for your safe.
No PT, spin that shit.
Yeah, fuck with me and get some money, get some money. Hey, fuck with me and get some money, get some money. Fuck with me and get some money, get some money.
Fuck the police, cause them bitches ain't stop shit. Opposition man, if they play, they get it pop quick. Flies nigga in the gang, yeah, I'm a cop. Put it on Camelot with 100-some shots. I be swimming with the sharks, little nigga, you a lobster. I beat a nigga up like he eating on some pasta. I saw out the keys, then I keep me. Shout out to the Migos. If a nigga not wrong, shoot him through the.
Alright, y'all, one more song, you know what I'm saying? Check us out the next episode, episode 7, Raw Report. Hit us up on IG, you know what I'm saying? Raw Report _ Mixshow. You know what time it is. With Coco Lola, DJ Primetime, and Geeks King Single Briz in the building.
Right, every week, every episode, we get rawer and rawer. And don't be afraid to be raw in the comment section either, eh? We only want rawness. We want the truth. We want the facts. That's what this show is all about. Keeping it raw. Rawer than you'll ever see anywhere else.
Opposition's mad, they play, they get it pop quick. Flies nigga in the gang, I'm a cockpit.
And remember, if you have an interesting topic you'd like us to discuss, no matter how controversial, hit us up in the DMs and on our IG, and you'll run with that.
You already know. Peace.
Yo, this is raw mix.
Yeah.